Good evening, ghouls and perverts. Welcome to another miserable podcast. This is the Halloween Special. We're here to talk about Halloween stuff. Nostalgic and pretty recent, but kind of nostalgic at the same time. It will all make sense later in the podcast, won't it, Vincent Price? Yes, thank you, Boris Karloff. It will make sense later in the show. But first, we're gonna hand it off to our terrible, horrifying hosts. Take it away, guys.
Kris Pistol with the brilliant Vincent Price and Boris Karloff impressions that you only get on Another Miserable Podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. Those guys live in my apartment. They just came by. They're ghosts. It's the spooky season. And I rang him up. I was like, guys, you're not doing anything. You're dead. You're old horror hosts. You just want to come by and make a cameo on my podcast? And they were like, sure.
I need to go to your apartment, man.
Vincent, if you're listening, I could really use some help on your cookbook. Half of this shit does not make sense.
Salmon in the dishwasher. Trust me, it works.
So welcome, everybody. This is the first ever Halloween special of Another Miserable Podcast. Woo!
And the last ever because I quit.
Hey guys, what's your go-to Halloween candy? What bag do you go for?
Ooh, good question. I think Butterfingers are supremely underrated, and they remind me of the Simpsons commercials.
Butterfinger, those are for Butterfinger BBs, right?
No,
they
they
just
are
do
regular
regular-
Butterfingers.
Oh shit.
No, Bart Simpson's catchphrase was nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger.
That's the sound of hundreds of people unsubscribing from this podcast because you just said that, Zach. Fuck.
I know.
Look, you know what? Zach doesn't know, but the other two of us fucking know. Okay, so don't hold Zach against the rest of us.
That's
Thank
why you listen to this podcast, guys, because we are in the know about the Bart Simpson Butterfinger Halloween commercials.
Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger, Zach.
Casey, are you for the Butterfinger candy? Is that your go-to?
I'm for the Butterfinger, but let me tell you something. There's a discussion about this on Twitter that pissed me the fuck off. Okay, because everyone said one candy had to go, and they said Milky Way. So many people were saying Milky Way. Well, you know what? Fuck you. Milky Way are amazing. Okay. If anything has to go, how about a fucking circus peanut? No one wants that shit. How about a bag full of fucking pennies, huh? Get rid of that.
Circus
Leave
peanuts
the Milky Ways.
Circus peanuts have just completely disappeared, though. I mean, they phased themselves out. Candy corn will never die.
I can find you some. You see, Kris, I can tell you're not the dollar store shopper that I am because I see them all the time. They never leave the shelves ever.
I find circus peanuts fascinating. I just the way they're made and their texture. They just fascinate me. But I'm probably gonna cause a bit of a stir here. But the candy bag that I've associate with Halloween more than any is the Child's Play bag of candy, which is the Tootsie Rolls and the Tootsie Pops and the dots.
Dude, you got me talking about Tootsie Pops now, so this is going to be an hour-long podcast on Tootsie Pops.
Tootsie Pops is some good shit.
I got a bag of Tootsie Pops minis, which are these little tiny Tootsie Pops, but they have 900 fucking flavors that you usually don't get in the packs. And I got to tell you, mango is fucking disgusting.
I never had a mango Tootsie Pop.
It shouldn't be disgusting, but oh shit, it is. But you know what? Pomegranate, fucking amazing.
They have a pomegranate Tootsie Pop?
Goddamn right they do. They got banana. They got fucking strawberry to go with the cherry, so it's not just red anymore. They got all kinds of stuff. Sour apples in there. Every once in a while, if you buy a pack of the big ones, you'll get one of the weird new flavors. But if you go for the the mini pack, you'll get a huge variety. I have 2 pounds of them at work right now, so I've eaten my way through every flavor.
Yeah, see, in the Child's Play bags, you just get like the blue raspberry, like the chocolate and the strawberry, I think, and that's it.
It's interesting how many fruits can be combined with chocolate, and it's perfectly okay.
See, Zach, you forgot orange, the best of the Tootsie Pop flavors.
Orange is in there as well. Yes,
Orange is good.
Orange
Yeah.
is my
I always
favorite,
went for
I
chocolate as a child, though. That was my favorite.
think. Chocolate's
I've-
pretty good too, yeah.
Just chocolate on chocolate. Come on.
I've always been a fan of Tootsie Rolls, man. It gets a bad rep, but you know,
They're good.
I like
There's
Tootsie
nothing wrong with
Rolls.
them.
I've got some that my cat made for you if you want some, Zach. Fresh.
Zach, don't do it. He's talking about poop.
Now, see, the thing about Child's Play, it gives you 3 like different sizes of Tootsie Roll. You get the stubby, chunky one, you get the long, thin one, and then you get like the mini one.
Those thick ones are too much. That's too much Tootsie Roll for one thing.
It's actually a perfect representation of the penises of the hosts of this podcast. But I'm not going to tell you who's is who. And this is going to be the clip that Zach picks to promote this episode.
All right, everybody, welcome to another miserable podcast, the Tootsie Roll of horror podcasts. If you haven't tuned in before, we are just a group of film grads and current film students that love talking about horror movies. We kind of explore the intersection of horror and pop culture. And so we do current movie reviews and retrospectives. If you haven't yet, check out our last episode that was on one of our current series, a year in horror series, where we look at different years and we talk about 9 horror movies from said year. So we've done 1987, and last week we did 1989. So definitely check that out.
Zach, I have an update for that, actually. This is Casey, a.k.a. Professor Casey, since Zach is very rude and didn't introduce me. I would like to tell you that Return of the Swamp Thing, one of my 1989 choices that I shit on a little bit, but not as hard as Sleepaway Camp 3, because fuck that movie. It is now available on Amazon Prime streaming. Return of the Swamp Thing. And you know why it's available? Because I paid to buy it on fucking Blu-ray. So, of course, 2 weeks later, Amazon Prime. Happens all the fucking time.
Well, as I was saying, I am joined by my 2 co-hosts, Kris Pistol, who did that marvelous introduction. Say hi, Kris.
Yes.
Hello. Sorry. have a Vincent Price in my throat.
And before I was so rudely interrupted, Professor Casey, the one and only.
What's up, at Lucha Gringo? Follow me, I guess. I don't care.
Are you a professor in the same way that Doctor Who is a doctor?
No, because my MFA in film makes me able to be a college professor. So I really am a professor. But I was given the name by other people, and it's for my endless encyclopedia of wrestling knowledge, which is way worse than my movie knowledge. Yeah, I'm better suited for a wrestling podcast probably, but we don't record episodes anymore, and it's all Zach's fault because he was on one and ruined it. Fuck you, Zach.
Oh, this is going to be a spicy episode.
Zach is not only the leader of this podcast, he's also the whipping boy.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for that marvelous introduction. That was a Hocus Pocus reference right there.
Yes, we got that one. I'm not sure we wanted it, but we got it.
It's got to be one. It's a Halloween special. So we're here to talk about Halloween, guys, and Halloween specials.
I hate Halloween, dude. It's the worst holiday. No, fucking, okay. Halloween to me is everyone else liking the shit I like year round. So it's like the one season of the year I feel at home and I feel like I could really be myself without people saying, dude, you're kind of fucking weird. Because now they'll be like, you're kind of fucking weird, but it's awesome. And then they'll be like, why don't you like Christmas music, you fucking heartless monster? It just kind of happens after Halloween. It sucks. Really hate Christmas music. Worse than Mummies even. Worse than Mummies.
You just haven't discovered all the great depressing Christmas music that's out there, man.
Oh, I find it all depressing. Working at Borders during the Christmas season will do that to you.
Speaking of Borders, before we get into our topic at hand, Kris, you were telling me a funny story before we started recording. We both used to work at Barnes & Noble, and we had to do announcements.
The enemy!
Yeah. We had to do announcements over the PA system from time to time. I worked in the cafe mostly. Every once in a while, the book floor. But Kris worked on the the book floor more often, the music department more often than not, and
Yeah,
he was
the
telling me
music and
about
DVD section.
yeah, he was telling me about a deliciously horrific announcement he had to make. So take it away, Kris.
Yeah, we kind of had to like write our own announcements over there. They just had to include specific things in there, and it was October, and so I was like, I'm gonna write me a spooky overhead announcement, and no one's gonna stop me from doing this. So I did it, and it kind of went something like a little bit how our intro went, where I was just did my well, hold on, I gotta go to the back room real quick and get Boris Karloff off the PlayStation and have him come and do it real quick.
Okay.
Clap, 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 clap.
Hold on just a minute, folks.
All right.
He loves
Okay,
that
so
DOA
something like this. Go
Spring
ahead,
Beach
Boris.
volleyball.
Go ahead, Boris. Good evening, Barnes & Noble customers. Head on down to the music and DVD section. Get yourself a selection of spooky Halloween films to bring in the season. Thanks, Boris. Anyway, it went off. I don't remember the whole thing, but yeah. Basically
Kris, I just want you to like do that voice like 24/7 on this podcast now.
I just want someone to write me a show where I can do that voice, the Vincent Price voice, and the bad guy for Moulin Rouge voice, and I'll be happy. That's all I really want out of life.
I agree, man. If I heard Boris Karloff selling me Blu-rays, I would buy like all you have in stock right away.
Yeah, probably me too. He was a great man.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to talk about Halloween specials today, but before we get into some of our favorites from our upbringings, various different upbringings, we're going to talk about a specific film that came out a few years ago that celebrates Halloween specials, specifically like public access TV and Halloween. And it is a movie called WNUF Halloween Special.
Edit note, Zach just fucked the name up. No, I'm just kidding. Leave that in.
I said it right.
I love this movie. I forget how the fuck I heard about it, but I know I got Zach to watch it after I saw it. And because I read a lot of horror magazines, I'm sure it was in one of the stack, and I know that the guy who created the movie followed me on Twitter, but I can't remember if it's after I talked about the movie or not.
Yeah, so it's directed by Kris LaMartina and a bunch of other people. It was a very collaborative project, and one of the
written
co-writers
by Jimmy George.
Yes. So for those that don't know, how would you describe WNUF Halloween Special, guys?
Oh, it is found footage. Goodness, my friend.
It's like someone found a Halloween special that someone really recorded off of their TV in like 1985 and just put out there for the world to see. The only thing that doesn't like make 100% sense is that, well, I don't know. Could you like record something off a TV and then fast forward, and then when you watched it back, you would see the fast forwarding? Because I don't remember that being able to ever to do that.
If you dub the tape the right way, possibly.
Okay.
If you're doing a VCR dub to dub, I think you could do that.
Okay.
Yeah. The way they actually promoted this movie was they just left a bunch of VHS copies around a VHS collecting convention.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so when people would just pick them up and pop them in, thinking it was going to be people fucking or something, they would find the WNUF Halloween Special. And it takes so long for it to get weird and creepy that I bet it really fucked with people that were watching it for the first time, which is great. It even has fake commercials, and they do repeat themselves throughout for realism's sake.
The commercials are probably the most real part of the movie because you do like see so many of them repeat a couple of times to the point where you like almost get the urge to fast forward them yourself, but then they end up being so funny you don't really want to.
And they really capture the fake, almost local TV station, public access feel of some of those commercials.
That's the only thing that kind of gives it away for me is those two leads. They're great, they're brilliant, but it's there are times when you can tell like, okay, that's clearly like they're doing a very like oh fuck, what's that guy's name who did Waiting for Guffman, Spinal Tap.
Oh
yeah.
They're doing that sort of bit where it's very documentary, very sincere, kind of humor where it's just these ridiculous people, but they're doing it so committedly that you really believe it.
Reiner was Spinal Tap, wasn't he?
Carl Reiner directed Spinal Tap, but one of the hold on.
So yeah, so
Brain of blank. I know who you're talking about. My brain's mush.
So in a nutshell, WNUF Halloween Special is a faux recreation of like a recreation and homage to like an old 1987 Halloween news broadcast, filled with fake TV commercials that are so like pinpoint accurate to the time period. It's incredible. And that's
some of them using found footage from the time period.
Yeah,
too.
so a majority of the commercials were made using like stock footage that the creators either got from friends that filmed them or purchased through royalty-free sites. And then the couple were made specifically for the film.
And the makeup commercial is actually lifted from a makeup tutorial that is on Amazon Prime, or at least was, that was filmed in the 80s. And goddamn, is it hilarious. The clips that you see in the commercial are great. If you watch the whole thing, holy shit, it's enthralling. It's just like a holocaust of 80s heshers putting on face paint. It's amazing.
There's so much like wood paneling in this movie in all of the commercials. And
glorious,
it's so
glorious.
I don't know why, but like
sexy.
When I think of like pure Halloween nostalgia, I just think of like those sort of paper Halloween decorations on like pasted on like on drywall on the wood paneling.
Yeah, so like essentially the running plot through this episode is there's a newscast going on. They're going through various news stories. It takes place on Halloween night, but there is what's called the WNUF Halloween Special after this news broadcast, where one of the anchors of the news podcast, a man named Frank Stewart, played marvelously by God, what is his name? I don't have his name in front of me. Whoever he is, he's great. He's on IMDb. But the guy who played Frank Stewart, he's tremendous. He looks a lot like J.K. Simmons. He's so good.
Sorry,
Paul Fahrenkopf.
Say it one more time, Chris.
Paul Fahrenkopf.
Yeah, Paul Fahrenkopf. He is tremendous. So they are this Halloween special is Frank Stewart, this newscaster, is going to investigate this. It's called the Weber House, and a horrible murder took place there years ago. A young boy murdered his parents, allegedly because a demon in a Ouija board told him to. So they're investigating it. He brings along two investigators that are essentially a nod to Ed and Lorraine Warren. And there's like a crowd in front of this house that he interviews, which is hysterical.
All in period accurate Halloween costumes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All really shitty, too.
That's one of my favorite moments in this film is when he's interviewing this crowd, because there's this dude in vampire makeup that I think was like one of like he was one of the crew on the film. And he goes to edit him, and he's like, "So do you think that there are like demons in this house?" And the guy goes, "People died here." He's like, looks really paranoid in the camera. It's so good.
I thought you were gonna say like, "Do you believe in ghosts?" And the one guy dressed up goes, "No, but I knew who to call if there are any." He's like,
Yeah,
"Oh yeah, and who's that? Who's that?" He's like, Ghostbusters. He's like, "Oh, okay, very
yeah."
funny."
The lead anchor Frank Stewart is so deadpan and dry, and like the crowd really tries to like it's so good. Like,
He's like, you can tell it's this like newscaster who's trying to keep it together and be professional and be entertaining, despite the fact that everyone around him is getting on his nerves, and he just hates the fact that he's having to do this like stupid fake like Halloween special.
Yes. So that's kind of the running plot. They sort of tease this Halloween special throughout the episode. And the first half of it is kind of this news broadcast before you get to that special later on. And then it's interspliced with commercials, period accurate commercials. And we can definitely get into the commercials, but even like the news stories that they tell themselves they're entertaining and very like humorous in a funny way. There's one story they get into that's like a tragic story, but it's kind of hilarious. It's about
the one about the kid.
Yeah, so this kid in like a G.I. Joe costume was like a year ago was murdered by his neighbor who was a Vietnam vet, because his neighbor, who's like this old man with dementia, thought he was a Viet Cong.
And he just And this is a story that they start fast forwarding through.
Yeah.
Right.
Skipping ahead, and I'm just like, oh, come on, this was so entertaining.
If you get the DVD, you can see all the segments that are fast forwarded through.
No,
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great. I highly recommend picking up the DVD.
nice.
Don't pick up the Blu-ray because it's $2,000.
I don't think it's
Something like that?
on Blu-rays.
Oh, there's a Blu-ray version for over $1,000 on Amazon. Actually, like there's only one that exists or something.
That's because they want you. Because it's so to make this one of the other interesting features on the DVD is they want to make this look period accurate. They like actually put it in a VHS player and wound it through a few times so it looks really vintage.
This is actually something I'm using in a short film that I've been working on, or that they're using anyway. Is that they dubbed it multiple times back and forth so that they can make it look like a 4th generation, 5th generation dub, which it actually still looks way better than that because I've had 4th or 5th generation dubs of bootleg shit before, and it looks way worse than this and sounds way worse than this. But I'm not saying that from experience. It was completely hypothetical. I would never buy bootleg anything, especially Japanese pro wrestling.
I bought the movie actually online through their website a couple of years ago, but I don't know. I don't think the website exists anymore, and I don't know where that file would have gone.
I actually have
That's why
merch.
You should buy movies on Blu-ray.
I have a WNUF Halloween Special T-shirt that I got through the Rue Morgue coffin box right before it died. It was just one of the shirts of the month. And I was so happy to get that. It's just a big VHS that says WNUF Halloween Special with a pumpkin on the label, but I love it. I love it. Not enough to wash it to wear it right now, but I love it.
So one of the other stories that's mentioned that I have a bone to pick with is there's this dentist that is against Halloween. And so they're advertising this buyback candy program. So this dentist is there's this PSA essentially, and he's telling these any of his patients for every pound of candy that they give him, and he weighs it, he'll give them $1 back. $1 for a pound of candy. If I'm a kid trick or treating in 1987, and all that hard work that I'm doing, and you're only giving me $1 for a pound of candy, which nowadays 2.5 pounds of candy is $12.
But if you go by inflation, it would be $2.25 that he would be giving the kids today.
But that's the joke, is that he's ripping these kids off.
Oh, he's completely fucking these kids. And, well, figuratively, not literally. There wasn't a subplot about that. This isn't one of those horror movies. Yeah, that scene, oh, God. It's hard to watch. So, some kid took him up on that deal, hypothetically, if this was real?
Yeah. But the other cool thing about this film is it really explores the different angles of Halloween as well. So it gets into the kind of Westboro church anti-Halloween groups.
Yes.
Not to spoil too much, but you see this kind of news story on these anti-Halloween group that think it's just Satan's holiday and yada yada yada.
Yeah, I had a friend that wasn't allowed to celebrate Halloween until his early 20s. So. Yeah,
nothing quite breaks my heart than hearing someone being like, "Oh yeah, we didn't celebrate Halloween. That's when I was a kid." I'm just like, "Oh, it's so sad."
Yeah,
he does every year now.
They're tied to Halloween and Christmas.
He has 4 kids now. He does not miss a fucking trick or treating.
Nice.
So,
but it's just so crazy how accurate this movie is to the time period that it's representing, and it's the perfect thing to throw on at a Halloween party. Just let that thing really play and see people's reactions to it. I'm trying to get my brother to play it at his party coming up. But let's talk about the commercials, because that's one of the meat and potatoes of this movie.
I feel like you should get him to show Society instead. I'm gonna be honest.
That'd be a whole other thing.
Be like, now it's time for the real party to start. Turn down the lights.
So of the commercials in this movie, there's so many different types. There's anti-drug PSAs. There's carpet commercials for Phil's Carpet Warehouse.
That fucking Orchard commercial that's on 2,000 times.
No, I love that Orchard commercial.
So these are all fake commercials made either with stock footage, a couple that they actually film stuff, and great voiceover work.
The fake buddy cop TV show commercials are a goddamn masterpiece, though.
And there's faux movie trailers too that they made using stock footage. Doggone it.
Yeah, the like TV movie of the week kind of commercials. Those are
There's
great.
one called Sarcophagus with a mummy that I guess is from one of Chris LaMartina's older films. They have a mummy creature, and he looks awesome. I know you hate mummies, Casey, but it's called Sarcophagus. It looks awesome. I wish it was real.
I'm sure you do, Zach. I'm sure you do. You would.
If only I could splice in real Halloween commercials from like my childhood into this, so that it would like actually feel very, very real. Then it would be perfect.
I have the perfect YouTube playlist for you.
Oh yeah,
I will when I'm done making it.
I was watching a YouTube collection earlier today of Halloween commercials from like the 80s and 90s, and I saw one that I completely forgot about. It was like a Pizza Hut commercial.
Oh god.
With it was basically like a Little Bill ripoff. It was like Mr. Pizza Man or whatever, and it was just a pizza with a slice of pizza with like the Bill face on it, going like, "Oh no, I just want to go over here," and it was just like, but it was Halloween themed, so it was like, "We're going down this spooky road, Mr. Pizza Man." It's like, "Oh no, who's that guy?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
The 80s commercial vault does a marathon of commercial uploads every year, and his will be coming very soon. Always tremendous. Nice. He does 80s and 90s versions usually, so all of us will find some stuff we can enjoy, except for Zach, who's 57 years old. Sorry, Zach.
I mean, you could have made the other joke and called you 12.
That's for when he picks his favorite Halloween specials later.
So there's a 1-900 Monster Hotline commercial that's a rip on the old horror hotlines from the 80s, 90s.
Which I gotta say, if you've ever seen one of those commercials, go to YouTube immediately and look up the Freddy hotline. They actually have the recordings that would play if you called, and they're fucking amazing. You must hear them.
And I like the touch that, like, as you keep watching the special, and it's assumed that it's getting later and later in the night, you start to see like more like adult themed commercials. Like, you start to see like really inappropriate shit. That's the kind of stuff that
there's like one
actually air on TV like after 11 o'clock.
And then there's one for the horror host Dr. Bloodwrench.
Yes.
Well, obviously a nod to local access TV horror hosts and Elvira and stuff. I love the one for this Tokens Arcade and Pizzeria.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, I want to go there, man. That's just like right in the 90s, right there. I know it was 87, but
when I was young, my aunt owned a bowling alley, and that was like the cool place to go and hang out. Because it had arcade games. It had a Nightmare on Elm Street pinball machine.
Which is very valuable now.
Yeah, which I did not realize at the time. If I had been like 30 years old back in 1995, I would have like tried to buy that thing from her so hard, because who knows where it is now. But she had the Nightmare on Elm Street pinball machine and a bunch of other arcade games, and great pizza and bowling and plenty of wood paneling.
Oh yeah, it's nice. It's so good. Like they really capture every like type of commercial in here. I think there's probably maybe a commercial for the dentist that's mentioned earlier in the news story, and it's one of those commercials where you remember in like the 90s and stuff where they really tried to make dentists like seem cool, and they wanted like kids that like you can play arcade games in here. It's like the chill spot to be, a fucking dentist's office. I never fell for that shit. I was like, why do I want to play a fucking arcade game at the dentist?
I remember when my dentist put in like TVs in their room so you could watch TV. While
my dentist had that. Yeah, like after we tortured
I remember when they put those in there as like an incentive to be like, ooh, look, we got TVs now.
Yeah, before we rip your root out, why don't you watch some Blue's Clues?
Leave my root alone. Thank you very much.
I was like, can you turn on Rugrats? I can watch Rugrats.
Yeah. So that's kind of the meat of this special. But as it gets going, you get into the investigation of the Weber house that Frank Stewart is taking part in. And so you're introduced to Dr. Lewis and Clara Berger, which, as I said, are kind of a nod to the Warrens, essentially. And they have
like a really on the nose nod.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And they have a cat named Shadow. And
Cat's great.
It's so funny. There's a seance scene where they go down to the basement and they let callers come in and ask if they want to ask any questions because they're trying to contact the dead there, either the demons or the dead parents. And there's one caller that I almost don't want to spoil it because it's so funny. But she
don't spoil it. I know what you're talking about. Let them find this out themselves.
Oh, it's so funny.
Too good.
People, it's just a lot of like crank calls, and it's
they're very good.
Yeah.
They're very good. As someone who got a cup of coffee in the television news industry, this is a very accurate film.
And I'll say, is even though this is generally a very humorous movie, it does get creepy towards the end because they really play up that this is like an actual VHS tape that you found. You don't even see credits at the end of this movie, not at all. And so it does, like, as things start to take a turn and shit hits the fan in this house, like it's very like Ghost Watch if you're a fan of the British.
Yes.
I was actually just looking that up because I wanted to mention it. Yeah, it's very similar to Ghost Watch.
Yeah.
So Ghost Watch is a little bit more. It's trying to legitimately creep you out.
No, Ghost Watch is more. It's a serious.
Yeah, and WNUF Halloween Special is not responsible for any actual human deaths, unlike Ghost Watch.
But yeah, they get an exorcist to come in, and he's just like does not want to do an exorcism, and he's just like, oh, I can do it, but we need to get clearance from the church first, and it doesn't happen very often, and
he's obviously like very freaked out when stuff starts happening.
Yeah, his reactions are hilarious. Yeah, it's one of the this is a slight spoiler, but the burgers have like this like kind of a machine that like contact the dead, and it breaks, and one of the Dr. Lewis Burger keeps like harping on Frank Stewart about who's gonna pay for their machine like during the special. He's like, who's gonna pay for that? Like, Stewart's just like, we'll handle it. Like I told you before. It's so good. There's so many wonderful nuances to this film. And I can't recommend it enough. Really, like it's the less you know about it, the more cold you go in, the better it is, because it's just
it's true.
But I do want to mention that they are crowdfunding a sequel on GoFundMe.
Oh.
WNUF Halloween sequel. I just backed it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be set in the 90s. They're kind of keeping under wraps what the theme's going to be, but it's going to be set in the 90s. It's not a reboot or a remake. It's set in the same universe. There's going to be characters that are from the original are going to be in it. So I'm really hyped for that. It's supposed to come out late 2020. So yeah, they've been crowdfunding it for a year, but it's still going. So I highly recommend checking that out. The WNUF Halloween Special, if you're trying to find it online, it's not the easiest thing to find. You can obviously purchase it. It is on the Internet Archive for free. But if you're going to watch it there, throw a few bucks on their crowdfunding campaign. And then I think they literally have like a $5 tier that's like guilt-free torrenting. Like if you
that's funny.
Donate $5, you're like, it's okay. Watch it wherever you can find it. So yeah, I highly recommend supporting them. It's wonderful, wonderful. They made this on like no more than $1,500. It's pretty impressive what it's better than most mainstream horror movies you're going to see all year. It's so entertaining from beginning to end. It's only 83 minutes. Really wonderful, wonderful film. Any other final thoughts, guys?
5 stars. Definitely watch it. It's one of my favorites. I watch it every year. It's become a tradition. It's got to be a special movie to do that for me, and this is one of them.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, it'll give you that sort of like nostalgic feeling. If you don't have any like actual Halloween specials saved on VHS from childhood, this will make a good substitute.
It really is one of those movies that gets you in the Halloween spirit like few others can. So I highly recommend checking that out, guys. But now that we've talked about WNUF Halloween Special, let's talk about some specials that we liked growing up, gentlemen. And now, to this day, Halloween specials, because it's not Halloween unless you're watching made-for-TV Halloween movies or Halloween specials from existing TV shows.
Yeah,
what are we thinking about, guys? Thoughts? What Halloween memories here? Like, what kind of specials did you grow up on?
Okay, this one's weird. It's not one that I necessarily grew up on, but it's a fucking gem.
Okay.
Because they only played it a couple times when I was growing up. It wasn't an every year thing. It actually
Well, they
debuted
didn't
in
have
19...
reruns back then, Casey.
No. This was a rerun when I saw it because it debuted in 1985. It's called The Midnight Hour. It is pretty damn great. They reran it a couple times because I know I saw it during the early to mid 90s and maybe like one more time after that. Now, all of you listening can watch it on YouTube because there's like 10 versions of it uploaded. Some of them with the original commercials intact, which I always recommend. But it stars Sherry Belafonte and LeVar Burton, who are both tremendous. It's basically like if someone saw the Thriller video and said, make a 2-hour TV movie about this. But it has a lot less of a budget. So while there's zombies, you're not going to get like cool werewolves and everything. You are going to get a witch subplot and a lot of voodoo and magic fuckery. And it's pretty tremendous.
Magic fuckery.
There's some music and some song and dance. And you know how much I hate musicals. So if I'm recommending something that has any elements even resembling a musical in it, you know that it's got to be good. So Midnight Hour, check it out. It is fun. There's a lot of scenes in a Halloween party that show a lot of old Halloween decorations, a lot of old Halloween costumes. Just me saying this should be giving you half a chub right now. And if it is,
Wow.
you should be going to watch this video on YouTube immediately.
All right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Looks like
Midnight
it's on YouTube.
Hour, 1985. So yeah, if you just search Midnight Hour 1985, be sure to have the year in there too, just in case. It'll hook you up. Check it out on YouTube. There's some actually pretty high quality rips on there. The ones with the commercials look a little worse that I've seen, but they have the commercials. Go for it, dude.
Nice.
All right, Kris, what about you, man? What Halloween specials did you grow up on, man?
Oh, one of like the oldest ones I remember, because when you're a kid, you're not like, at least I wasn't actively seeking out Halloween specials. It was literally just whatever was on like Nickelodeon or the Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Once you got the Disney Channel, and then eventually Cartoon Network, which I didn't get until I was like probably like 13 or so.
I was like the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but one thing that Disney Channel did every Halloween was they put together a special of just a series of basically a collection of shorts and like segments from movies, and it was called the Disney Halloween Treat.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Huge fan.
It's got a great theme song, which I like ripped off of YouTube and put into my Halloween playlist.
Hell yeah, it is a tremendous song. Everything about it is so good. Like they made the perfect choices for everything.
Yeah, and it's apparently they've been airing it since the 80s, and it's usually kind of different. Sometimes they cut stuff out and add stuff in and change it up a bit. The original,
I know I've definitely seen multiple versions where sometimes the Magic Mirror from Sleeping Beauty is the host, and sometimes it's not.
I think that's the one I originally saw. Was with the Magic Mirror. The first one, Stalling for Time.
Can you stall as Boris Karloff?
I'm gonna guess 1989 without looking it up, but that's just my guess.
Oh, so the first one was in 1982.
Whoa,
October of
okay.
1982. Yeah, probably like one of the first year that Disney Channel was actually on TV. And it was narrated by basically an inflatable, or not inflatable, but looked like a foam jack-o'-lantern puppet who's just kind of going back and forth. And I remember seeing one where there was a comedian stalling for time again.
I feel like I've seen a few of these alternate versions looking for the one I grew up on, which was the one with the Magic Mirror host for sure.
Yeah,
because I know I've definitely saw some videos. I'm like, this isn't it, and then just kind of skipped ahead.
Yeah, there's also one where there was like a guy in it was a pumpkin, but it was a man's head in a pumpkin. Like the pumpkin is alive, but it's literally just a guy whose face is in a pumpkin. talking, just introducing different segments, and they had like the Night on Bald Mountain sequence in there. They had the Wizard's Duel from Sword in the Stone, and then they would have like Halloween themed or spooky themed Disney shorts. Like, and the best
you're forgetting
one,
my favorite part.
my favorite one is definitely Donald Duck and the Huey, Dewey, and Louie Halloween special with the witch.
Oh yeah,
My favorite's the Headless Horseman segment. That's like why I would watch every year.
Yeah, for sure. And that's my go-to like Halloween night.
Ichabod
like
Mr. Toad, right?
Yeah. That's
But they just cut the Mr. Toad out.
Yeah, I think the Disney Halloween Treat just showed the Ichabod stuff and probably only like half of the Ichabod stuff. Because you watch the Ichabod the Legend of Sleepy Hollow like full short is like 40 minutes, and the first half of it is just like hilarious Ichabod and Brom Bones like competing over Katrina Van Tassel and just a lot of like Disney slapstick basically.
Which they cut down to maybe 10 seconds in the Halloween Treat special.
Get to the good shit. Yeah. But I throw on that even if I don't like. Well, you can watch the Disney Halloween special on YouTube. But I have the Ichabod Mr. Toad on Blu-ray, and I will throw that on almost every Halloween night and rewatch that because it's so great. The animation is beautiful. It's like got that fall colors and fall feel, and then the Headless Horseman sequence is just a lot of fun, and it's so spoopy, guys.
Did you know, Kris, during the Haunted Mansion design phase, they were originally going to have the Headless Horseman arriving at the ball scene. That was going to be like the big scene in the ride.
The Headless Horseman is like sadly missing from Disneyland, even around Halloween. The only thing they do is at Disney World, they have like the Headless Horseman walk through the parade. But they don't do it at Disneyland, which sucks.
I put out
looks good too.
I put out a Headless Horseman in my house. We literally just prop him on a chair though. We don't have a horse. But we have
awesome.
We have like a jack-o'-lantern that lights up, so we just like put it in his lap. And
that's awesome.
It used to be we used to put out like a Crypt Keeper every year because we have a Crypt Keeper mask, and so we'd like stuff him with newspaper and like put blood on it and just sit him on the chair. It was funny because
I need that mask, Zach.
I still have it.
I will buy that mask from you.
It's probably pretty smelly.
It's cool. So are you.
If I was like a big shot film director with like all of the everything at my disposal, I would do like 2 adaptations. I would do literary adaptations. I would do like a really creepy, moody Sleepy Hollow, and then I would do like a creepy, moody Christmas Carol.
I would do the Cask of Amontillado with fucking.
Were you guys fans of the Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow? Just real quick tangent because I'm just curious.
It's funny. I loved it when it came out, and then I went through a phase where I was like, "Meh, it's okay," and now I love it again.
Yeah, I think it's so fun. That was just a quick tangent. I was just curious. So yeah, let me go through one. Probably the oldest Halloween special that I have memories of. Because it was on a bunch of tapes, or at least one tape we had. I think it was originally produced in 1986. That is the Marc Summers Mystery Magical Special, or as it's known on the actual special, it's called Mystery Magical Tour, which is just the Beatles. But so that's probably why they changed the name on IMDb. But so this is a magic special with Marc Summers, who was like very, he was Mr. Double Dare back then, and so he was very popular on Nickelodeon.
To children, he was a god at that time.
Yeah, so it's
Double Dare, and does anyone remember the show What Would You Do? That's the one I watched.
Yeah, so this special is he and some friends of his, these like 10-year-old kids just got back from like a horror movie. And
yeah, they completely like make Mark look like a child molester. Yeah, all of his friends are small children.
Just these 10-year-olds that Mark just happens to be hanging around with.
I was initially assuming that they were on like back from a taping of Double Dare, but no, I guess they went to see a horror movie because 2 of them are debating like how like real the like effects looked in this movie, and the kids are like, "I know, there's no such thing as real magic." Anyway, so Mark's car breaks down mysteriously, and they end up in front of it's
always
castle.
The excuse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, kids. I ran out of gas. Well, we have nothing here to
But
pass the time.
that was like every Nickelodeon show was just like this adult host just happens to be hanging out with this group of kids for some reason.
Kids, we're out of gas and there's nothing to do to pass the time. You ever see a grown man's penis?
Wow. Yeah.
Now I know what clips Zach's gonna use to promote this episode.
Stop selling the Magic Castle.
You've said that twice now, Casey. So, so the car breaks down in front of the Magic Castle. It's not named that. It's just like a mysterious like.
Yeah, it's
mansion.
not the Magic Castle from Hollywood, is it?
No, it is. They just don't.
No, it is.
They just don't name it that in the special. They leave it like
Gotcha.
mysterious. But one of the kids is actually Jonathan Brandis, the late great Jonathan Brandis from Neverending Story 2, among other things.
Fucking sidekicks, bro. Come on.
Yes, and it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he was in it. Yeah.
And fucking Sequest DSV, bro.
Yeah. Wonderful actor. Anyway, so it breaks down in front of the Magic Castle. The OG Adam Gomez has a cameo appearance. John Aston, he like walking out of the castle. And
Did you just call Gomez Adams Adam Gomez?
He did. That's what threw me off. I was like,
Leave
who
that
the
in.
fuck is? I was like, who the hell is Adam Gomez?
Okay, first of all, we refer to him as Encino Man Sean Astin's father and Gomez Adams. There's a protocol to follow.
Okay.
Thank you, Zach.
Sorry, guys. If new listeners, it's a reoccurring thing that I consistently mispronounce.
Adam Gomez. Sounds like he's a fucking player on the Dodgers.
Yeah, so OG Gomez has a real fun little cameo here, walking outside the Magic Castle. He's leaving because things are going weird and spooky. Anyway, the score of this special is tremendous. It's just so whimsical and Halloweeny. It's so great. So they stumble upon this castle. They're trying to just find a phone, and they go inside. The phone isn't really working, and it just takes one turn after another. If I've been lucky enough to been able to go to the Magic Castle for years, my father is a magician member, so I've been several times. I've
been once, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
so I can only imagine what it's like being there more.
It's a privilege to be able to go. And it's really cool to be able to have like this kind of historical artifact of what the castle looked like in like '86. And some of the things are still there. There's this great painting that you see in the special where the eyes follow you. Still there, still looks just as awesome. So it's a special. It highlights a few magicians. Lance Burton, if you guys know Lance Burton, very famous magician from Las Vegas. Very young Lance Burton, probably a couple years younger than me when he did this. So it highlights him.
So he was 55.
Yes.
As we've established.
Yeah, there's a YouTube series called Knickknacks that's doing like a deep dive into like every single Nickelodeon show, starting from like the very beginning. And they did like a one-off special last Halloween talking about this Halloween special.
Yeah, I almost wrote an article on it on the blog, but I decided just going to talk about it here. My favorite piece of magic in this special is this magic act by Tina Leonard. And I don't want to say anything about it. You really should just watch it. But it's this wonderful, beautiful piece of magic. And it actually, every time I watch it, it brings a tear to my eye, sadly. Mainly because I think the score that plays with it. But it's a really kind of romantic piece.
She's fucking awesome, by the way. Like,
yeah,
once you see the piece, you'll recognize.
Yeah,
her,
she's studied. She's like a mime as well, so you'll know why from the act. It's brilliant.
The only thing I hate more than mummies are mimes, but I'm making an exception.
Yeah, but this is a Halloween special. There's a few really fun, goofy, like totally hammy gags that I don't want to spoil. They're just really silly, but. They're right at home in any good Halloween special. And there's a phantom at the end that duels with Lance Burton, a sword fight that's very reminiscent of the greatest sword fight ever in The Princess Bride. They obviously took a few cues from that. Though if this was produced in '86, then they didn't. Huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Princess Bride,
same
bunch of fucking thieves.
It's very similar.
Maybe it was the same sword fighting choreographer. They had like
Perhaps.
a legendary. I remember they had a legendary sword fight.
It's a great sword fight.
It's the same person who did the lightsaber duels in Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's been around for forever.
Anyway, this isn't, it's less than 30-minute special, but it's so much fun to watch. It's really the score is great. It's a really perfect thing to get you in the mood for Halloween. I highly recommend watching it. Marc Summers is great. Burton's great. The whole cast. Tina Leonard is obviously amazing. So I and Brandis, of course. I highly recommend checking it out. There's also a great. If you're wondering, there's a ghost piano in this special. That is the resident Magic Castle ghost named Irma. She's still there and she still takes requests to this day. So,
she's a ghost pianist.
Yes, of course.
Enunciate. Ghost pianist.
Yeah, but it's great. Everyone that's in there plays their part so well. Highly recommend checking that out. It's a very underrated, underseen special, so definitely look it up. Marc Summers Mystery Magic Special.
I feel like we need some honorable mentions.
Oh no, this is just the first round, dude. I got plenty more. Let's keep it going.
I have to wake up at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay. I don't mean that long.
Let's talk fast, Casey.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd like to tell you about the next Halloween special. Now, this one is even older than Zach. It is. I never saw this in my childhood. I did not see this until my adult life. In fact, I didn't see it until like last year or the year before. But it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my whole goddamn life. And that is the Paul Lynde Halloween Special, which you can find.
I've heard about this.
You can find it on Amazon Prime. I think it's definitely on YouTube. They used to have a really good version of it on Amazon Prime included. That's how I saw it. But holy shit, you have to see this special. Okay, all of the cheesy, hammy jokes that Zach talks about, it's like that times 1,000. Because it's fucking Paul Lynde, Hollywood's most eligible bachelor in the match game, and from Hollywood Squares. Fucking tremendous man, incredibly hilarious, and it's also like a good look at Halloween before any of us were fucking born. Because I believe this was made in like the mid 70s, maybe late 70s.
70s, yeah.
And it's goddamn great. It's more like a variety show than anything else. So there's singing and dancing shit. I don't know why my fucking choices are having that pop up so much. Considering how much I'm basically footloose with how much I hate dancing and singing. Oh, get the fuck out of here. But it works in this special because Paul Lynde is the fucking master of ceremonies. One of the greatest men that ever lived. The fucking uncle from Bewitched. Come on, who better? Who better? Because you know, Sam's mom, she was too sarcastic. You got to go with the uncle who loves everything and just has that happy spirit.
So it looks like it's not on Amazon Prime anymore, but you can.
God damn it!
You can rent it.
And you know what, guys? It's on fucking YouTube. I'll just say it. Paul Lynde's dead. He doesn't need the money.
All right, Kris.
But I can't recommend it enough. So yeah.
Oh, I lied. It is on Amazon Prime. I just found it.
Hey! All right. So you motherfuckers have no excuse. We've given you like 3 different ways to watch it. Watch it.
Oh, and just real quick, the Marc Summers Mystery Magic Special is on YouTube. The best version is actually the version that has a couple seconds cut off because it's the best quality and it has 80s commercials interspliced in it that are tremendous. So if you want to watch like the first seconds of one of the other uploads and then transfer over to the one that has the commercials in it, it's the best quality and the commercials are awesome. Just real quick note. Kris, do you have any other specials you want to throw out there, man?
Yeah, another one that I really enjoyed, and I would rent it all the time from the video store, is a Cartoon Network special Cartoon Network like film, I guess, like a made-for-TV movie called The Halloween Tree.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Based on the novel by Ray Bradbury. It stars Leonard Nimoy as the sort of creepy, sort of mysterious, I don't know. We never find out what he is. Like, is he a wizard? Is he just some sort of like Halloween being who can just like time travel and take these kids to different periods of time?
I vote for that one, actually. I think he's like the Ghosts of Christmas Past, but Halloween. Well, he's all the Christmas ghosts in one. but
Right,
Halloween.
right. That's kind of like the premise, or I think that's what Bradbury was kind of going for. It's very like Christmas Carol-esque. Basically, it's on a Halloween night, and this group of kids are racing to meet up with their best friend, who's just the coolest kid, the leader of their group. And he turns out has been taken to the hospital for an appendicitis, and they're worried. They think he might die. They end up like finding basically like seeing his spirit and chasing him down to this mysterious house where this really weird master of ceremonies guy lives. And there's a giant tree with a bunch of pumpkins in it in his front yard, and they end up chasing the kid's spirit like through time with this mysterious guy sort of leading the way and then showing them different origins, basically like different origins of myths for Halloween traditions and tropes. They see like go back and see witches, and they go back to Egypt and see like Day of the Dead ceremonies and all different kinds of stuff. But it's really well done. It's very atmospheric. It's not like it's for kids, but it's not like cheeky or colorful or like overly bright or even tries to be like really funny or quirky. It's very
And it's
moody.
kind of educational.
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of.
it's kind of educational. Just the animation is that sort of like early 90s period where they just had a lot of great talent working on it. So yeah, I definitely would check it out.
Oh, yeah,
It's definitely really cool.
That's definitely a classic special.
That was on Zach's list, and now he's trying to figure out another one to say.
No,
I know that face.
another one of the earliest. This is a live action made for TV, a Halloween special called The Last Halloween. Came out the year of my birth, 1991.
And then Halloween was canceled. Sorry, Zach.
Gosh. Hold on for a sec while I bring up the credits, because it includes a lot of famous really well-known voice actors that I don't want to forget their names. So,
I'm just going to say penis 10 times, so you have to cut this out.
Okay.
Because I want to wait for you to pull up these things. Penis.
Sorry,
penis.
one more thing I wanted to say about the Halloween tree is that Ray Bradbury himself did the narration, and he's really great. It really sets like the atmosphere, especially like the first like 5 minutes of this thing where he's just like describing Halloween and what it means to him and how awesome it is, and it's just showing these clips of this town like setting out jack-o'-lanterns and stuff. It's really great.
Ray Bradbury, great man, was total bros with Ray Harryhausen, another great man. So if you name a kid Ray, you're guaranteed to have a great man. I don't make the rules.
And I always get those names kind of mixed up in my mind. I'm like, Ray, which Bradbury, Harryhausen, which one?
I'm a big fan of both their work. Oh, Zach found something.
yeah, so the special I wanted to highlight is The Last Halloween from 1991. It features the voice talents of Frank Welker, Don Messick, Paul Williams.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So if Frank Welker's involved, something goes, meh. That's every voice, almost.
He has like a deep, grovelly voice in this one.
Oh, yeah, because he's using his cartoon villain voice instead of his Slimer/Uni from Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, he's like, anyway, so The Last Halloween, it just takes place in this like small town. It's these kids, their dad runs the local candy factory, but like the lake that like I guess powers most of the town is like dried up. Because unbeknownst to them, Rhea Perlman and her sidekick, who he's a very Richard Mall, who's a very well-known character actor. If you've seen him,
yes. Okay, first of all, Richard Mall, Bull from Night Court, tremendous TV show that does not get enough credit. Richard Mall, horror movie god. Thank you very much, because he was always the big dude in a bunch of shitty B movies, including The Dungeon Master, which he's fucking tremendous in. Continue, Zach.
He was also in a made-for-TV Jack and the Beanstalk movie. That's pretty hilarious to watch. It's pretty great.
Yes, I saw that.
It's fun, man. It still holds up, and it has from Sandlot. I forget his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, so
weird.
Rhea Perlman is running experiments on like insects and stuff. Pretty much, she's trying to find the fountain of youth, and she's drained the lake unbeknownst to these children. Anyway, so there's a spaceship that crash lands. This happens on a Halloween night. There's a spaceship that crash lands, and these CGI aliens The
I have
effects,
so many questions already.
the effects
Continue.
hold up as well as you'd expect for 1991. This is pre-Toy Story, keep in mind. But it's
So we have a
3D.
mad scientist with a giant, and then we have fucking aliens.
Yeah, and they're these kids that are Halloween. They think it's going to be pretty much their last Halloween in this town because they're going to have to move because their dad's candy factory is shutting down. Anyway, these aliens land because they're like out of fuel, and their fuel is essentially candy. So
Yeah, a piece of shit probably makes circus peanuts.
So
He fucking
fortunately for
deserves it.
them, they landed on Halloween. They run into these kids, and they go trick or treating with these kids to try and get candy. There's a great moment where one of the aliens goes up to the door, and this woman wants to like see what kid is underneath this costume, and she picks up this alien's head and she just takes it off, and she starts laughing because she just thinks it's a costume. It's really it's cute. It's it's aimed at kids, but it's fun. There's a few copies on YouTube if you can find it. Some really great voice talent is there. Like I said, Frank Welker, Paul Williams, man.
I'm looking at clips right now, Zach, and the CGI, it's not pretty.
It's not pretty, but
Fucking terrible.
the characters are lovable. I highly recommend watching it. It's really entertaining. It's not long
This
at all.
is like Max Headroom era CGI. It's pretty fucking
Okay,
bad.
it's like 23 minutes long. It's really it's a really kind-hearted special. I highly recommend watching it. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, check it out, guys. The Last Halloween, 1991. It'll make you feel good.
All right. See, he says it'll make you feel good. I say it'll give you at least half a chub. I'm gonna hit you guys with one. Might not count as a Halloween special, but I'm gonna count it because I'm pretty sure it aired during the Halloween season. This is actually an episode of a regular show.
Oh, we can get into
One that
those real
hold-
quick. Yeah.
One that I hold very dear to my heart. It's called Salute Your Shorts, a Nickelodeon show about summer camp.
Yes.
So as being about summer camp, this technically isn't a Halloween episode, but it's a horror episode and a show that does not do horror episodes, so it's fucking amazing.
It seems like
It's
those
a-
kids were at camp all year long.
For like 2 years. And this episode's called Zeke the Plumber.
Freaked
And-
me out.
Zeke's pretty fucking scary
This
looking.
character
actually.
He is, yeah.
haunted my dreams.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing him pop up from like time to time as a kid because I think my brother watched it. This was like a slightly before my time, but like every time I saw him, he freaked me the fuck out.
So they basically get every slasher trope and put it into an episode of a kid's 22-minute comedy series. It's basically a variation of the Cropsey summer camp massacre story that we've seen so many times. This time there's a plumber who's working on some kind of shit-involved pipe. The methane gas explodes, blows him up, and he becomes Zeke the Plumber. So he wears a rubber mask that kind of looks like Mean Gene Okerlund in the face, but it also has a hat with hair attached, and he has his nose all bandaged up because he couldn't smell the gas leak that fucking blew him up. Pretty tremendous. He chases the kids around. The kids don't think he exists. There's this whole question to if it's really Ugg fucking with them or not in the episode, which is left open, but I've had it confirmed by Ugg himself in person that it was him playing Zeke the Plumber the whole time. Because I went to the fucking Salute Your Shorts cast reunion. What up? And yeah, tremendous. I absolutely loved this show growing up, and this episode was the one I always hoped was coming on whenever I'd watch it. If they just played this episode over and over again, I probably would have been really happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Zeke's scary looking as fuck. It's a great, like, watching it now when you actually have like a solid handle on the tropes of teenage slasher movies makes it even better.
Is there anywhere to watch this episode in full? Because I'm trying to find it right now, and I really want to watch it again.
Okay, I think I found it on Daily Motion or something.
Okay.
You have to do some searching for it, because even when Nickelodeon legally uploaded Salute Your Shorts to iTunes, they were missing a bunch of episodes. I think the master tapes got fucked or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even talking to the people that actually made the show, they're like, I don't know what the fuck happened. Sorry.
Has it been released
Can't do
on
anything
Blu-ray?
about it. No.
No.
Anyways, you don't buy TV shows that old on Blu-ray. They were shot in 4:3 anyway. Just get a DVD. But it wasn't released on DVD either. Because basically what Nickelodeon...
Most of those Nickelodeon shows have not gotten a Blu-ray release and just
And
barely
you know why?
a DVD release.
Some of them didn't even get a DVD release because they decided to start with Clarissa Explains It All, which bombed miserably and ruined the chances for everything else to come out, which sucks. Sorry, Melissa Joan Hart. The show was great.
Yeah, nothing against
Sabrina was
that
the
show,
shit.
but the kind of people, the demographic for that show are not the demographic who are going to want to buy it on DVD.
Right, it was one of those shows
out
that...
first.
Yeah, exactly. It ruined Are You Afraid of the Dark's chances? Which
Yeah.
there's a new episode airing like as we're recording this, apparently.
Oh yeah, so that actually aired yesterday. I'll give my thoughts on that since Are You Afraid of the Dark is right in theme with this. And I did a retrospective on Are You Afraid of the Dark on the blog, which you can check out if you didn't last year. I enjoyed it. I think as people have talked about on Twitter, it's important that there's good like kind of introductions to horror for for middle schoolers and kids growing up. It's important to have things that you can watch, and I think this is good for that. It was entertaining. They, certainly they're drifting away from a bit from how the society. They kind of expanded upon how the society introduces members and stuff, which I found interesting. And
Actually have to kill a previous member.
not quite. But and it's kind of like taking a page from the it seems to be taking a page from the it's not actually like they're just telling stories every week. It's more like the series finale where like something actually was happening in real life, essentially. Though they do tell a story in the first one, but that kind of is obviously playing a larger part in what they're doing. But I think the cast is good. It was fun. I enjoyed it for what it is. I mean, it's not going to scare you if you're above 13 years old, but it's fun. It's fun. I think they captured the spirit of the show. I'm still hoping for a Sardo cameo, but they're doing their own thing. So if it doesn't happen, it's okay.
Or
You pronounce that right, which is
accent on the dough.
yeah.
Yes.
So do you guys want to touch on any other Halloween specials of like TV shows that you enjoyed growing up? I got a couple I mention here.
My friends are going to be dicks about if I don't talk about Garfield or one of us doesn't. My friends are going to be dicks, but I want to talk about it if you guys.
I mean, Garfield.
No, it's fine. I never watched Garfield growing up, so go ahead.
I mean, Garfield's great. It's a great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. I mean, we don't need it's those speak for themselves. They're classics. Watch them every year. I think everyone does.
I had the comic adaptation of the Garfield one, and it was kind of tremendous because skull and crossbones on his hat was kind of alive in the comic version.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he's running away, you'd see it like running away off of his hat, or like it would be holding on for dear life if something dangerous was happening. And I just love that little touch that wasn't in the animated version. I don't.
Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to add on, Chris, in terms of other specials?
Oh, very briefly, I was going to say, we briefly mentioned Pete and Pete, and that has a really great Halloween episode as well.
Yeah. Good pick there.
There aren't enough like Halloween things where it's just kids just like running around their neighborhood during Halloween, which is like that's what all my Halloween memories are kind of steeped in. Is when you go trick or treating, half of the fun is just getting to just run wild through your neighborhood.
Oh yeah, for sure. On that note, the Goosebumps, like the OG Haunted Mask episode, is pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's super dated, but it's fun.
I got that actually reminded me of one of my favorites. The Growing Pains 2-part Halloween episode.
Ooh, I don't remember that.
One of the later seasons. They're all on Amazon Prime. The biggest highlight is that they actually re-recorded the Growing Pains theme with spooky lyrics. So it is 100% worth watching just for that. But basically, it's one of the Chrissy seasons, which usually means it sucks, but trust me, this episode's good. Has Mike telling a vanishing hitchhiker story. It has...
I do remember this.
There's like a Body Snatchers reenactment, and it's basically a Treehouse of Horror episode before The Simpsons were doing it.
Yeah.
Well, since you mentioned Treehouse of Horror, I didn't really want to go through this without talking about it briefly. I did do an article on that last year as well on like my favorite Treehouse of Horror intros, but that's always a big mainstay for me is to watch the Treehouse of Horror episodes. I watch all of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's like a 4-hour film at this point.
Yeah, the Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace is my favorite for sure.
It's hard to. There's so many great segments. The first segment I ever saw was the monkey's paw. But
God damn it, Zach! Please to rake your acquaintance. Fuck.
I'm gonna make
My
you a
favorite was
compost
the-
mortem.
My favorite was the shinning.
The shinning is great. You want to get sued? No, I think one of my favorite episodes is Treehouse of Horror 4. That includes Terror at 5.5 Feet, which is probably my favorite segment. And also the Homer Simpson and the Devil, where he sells his soul for a donut to Flanders. But my favorite Treehouse of Horror quote, I'll give this to you guys real quick, is if I lean over, Bart, I leave myself open to wedgies, wet willies, or even the dreaded Rear Admiral.
I use that. I actually referenced the Rear Admiral in conversation today. No lie.
That had me in stitches like every time I hear it, man. I love that. So yeah, I mean, obviously, Treehouse of Horror and South Park. I love, and South Park has a tremendous lineup of Halloween specials. I'm particularly partial to Corrin's Groovy Pirate Ghost Mystery, which is just a spoof of Scooby Doo and is freaking hilarious. Cartman is
where they're very, very, very particular on Pirate Ghost and not Ghost Pirate. Because if you're a pirate ghost, you became a pirate after you died. But if you're a ghost pirate, you're a ghost of a pirate.
Oh yeah, and Cartman sings like Christmas carols throughout it, and they're just telling him to shut up.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Silver bells, silver bells.
He would be my least favorite person in the world in that episode.
Oh, and the best gag in that episode is that he thinks he finds his Christmas present early, but it's his mom's like Antonio Banderas blow up sex doll.
Yeah,
and he carries it around with him. Oh, so good. One more Halloween special that I'll touch on from a TV show. This is the one you guys might give me gruff for. It is an OG Rugrats episode.
Oh yeah.
Let's give him gruff, Kris.
It's called.
No,
Are you feeling gruff?
I can't do it. Can't do it.
It's called Candy Bar Creep Show. The reason I like this special is it shows Halloween from a different angle than you'll get in most Halloween.
From a baby's angle.
No. No, but you get to see the perspective of a child, but someone who's never experienced Halloween before, and I think that's interesting take on it. And so like Stu and Dee Dee, they have like a little like haunted house in front of their house. And so the babies see like these kids going in to this like haunted house their parents have erected, screaming, and they run out and they run out with Reptar bars. So they think, okay, all we have to do is run into this haunted house and scream, and we'll get Reptar bars. But it's just really cool. It has a really good tone. The score is great. There's some really fun, creepy imagery in there, even for a Rugrats episode. And it's just cool
Of course, the score is great. Marc Mothersbaugh is a fucking genius.
Yeah. it's such a great Halloween vibe. And the animation, it's like this is like from the first season, I think. So it's really archaic when you look at it now. But that's why it's so great. But yeah, I feel like it's been lost to time a bit. So if you haven't checked that out, you can find it online in places. Rugrats Candy Bar Creep Show.
And the chocolate bars filled with green stuff looks disgusting.
Makes your lips green. Yeah, or your tongue green. Your tongue green.
Yeah, they made a real version, and people said it made their shit really green.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's what happens. I mean. You guys heard about like how Frankenberry, how they had to change the dye because like in the 70s kids were eating it and their parents thought they were shitting out blood, but it was the Frankenberry color.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, let's do like a quick like fire round where we just do our like top 3 Halloween horror movies.
Oh, dude, shit.
Okay, so Halloween, my top Halloween horror movie right now, it changes like every couple years, but it is Trick or Treat 1986. The one with Sammy Kerr, Rock's Chosen Warrior, Death to False Metal.
That's a good. I'm gonna go with the other Trick or Treat, Mike Dougherty.
Also a tremendous film.
I said top 3, guys. You just
I thought we were going one by one. Okay, so.
Oh, okay. Well, we can go one by one.
Yeah,
but that's
that's gonna take longer. Just go, Kris.
Oh well, I was also gonna say Trick or Treat is definitely one of mine as well.
But which one?
The Mike Dougherty one.
Gotcha.
I'll just go. I mean, we just talked about it, but WNUF Halloween Special is definitely like way up there for me.
There you go.
Yeah, somebody asked me actually on social media my top 3, and I said WNUF Halloween Special also, along with Trick or Treat 1986, and I actually can't remember what the fuck my third choice was, but it actually does take place on Halloween. I want to say that I'm going to be like a basic bitch and say Halloween, but I'm going to say Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, motherfucker. Ah!
Because you're an awesome
because
nerd.
because the main character is there for 2 things. He's there to see how masks are being made and fuck. And that's how you spend Halloween.
It's okay. We're in this age now where it's like it's the cool, trendy thing to be like, I actually like Halloween 3 the best, and also I like Exorcist 3 the best.
I would never go that far, but Halloween 3 is high on my list. I wouldn't say I like it the best. I'd say I like it better than the one we discussed on our last podcast, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the OG Halloween has to be on there, but if you want to get your pitchforks ready, I'll just throw Hocus Pocus out there because come on.
It's not a horror movie.
Yeah, it's a Halloween movie. You said Halloween movie.
I said Halloween. What's your top 3 horror Halloween movies?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did say that, Zach. I know that Hocus Pocus scared the shit out of you. I know.
Book.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'll just say, like, I always thought it was weird just when people are like, it's Halloween, I'm watching horror movies, but they'll watch just like any horror movie. Like, I would never watch Friday the 13th movies at around Halloween because those are like summer movies.
I absolutely agree. I watch horror movies year round, so I watch Halloween-based Halloween movies at Halloween time.
Right.
Just like Christmas time, I watch fucking Silent Night, Deadly Night like a real G.
When do you guys watch?
Right, exactly.
When do you guys watch Nightmare Before Christmas?
I don't, because fuck that movie and it ruining my haunted mansion at Disneyland.
Oh, come on, that's a classic, sir.
So is the fucking ride, Zach.
I had different answers for this question at one point. For a while, I was like, okay, here's what you do. You watch Nightmare Before Christmas. You watch the first 15 minutes of it on Halloween, and then you stop the movie, and you wait for December 1st, and then you resume watching the movie. But now I'm a little bit more lenient. I've got to be a little bit... And plus now Christmas starts like the day after Halloween now. So here's what you do. You start Nightmare Before Christmas at 11:45 on Halloween, right? So by the time the clock strikes midnight and it is no longer Halloween, that is the moment when Jack Skellington goes through the Christmas store and it becomes a Christmas movie.
See,
I feel like Zach's gonna shit on that because he loves planes, trains, and automobiles so much. The only good Thanksgiving movie ever created, other than Blood Rage, the actual best Thanksgiving movie.
It's not cranberry sauce, Casey.
It's not cranberry sauce. Zach.
No, here's the thing with
Those aren't
Nightmare.
those.
Like, I love that movie, but I never knew when to watch it. I figured maybe I should just watch it in November because it's in between. But
No, that satisfies neither desire.
I know that's the problem. So I mean,
Yeah, let's fuck up the Haunted Mansion for 3 months. Also, while we're
I
on
believe
top
one of the
it.
producers has said it's a Halloween movie, which makes sense. It just feels so. I mean, it's certainly way up there. That would be certainly up there on my list as a Halloween movie.
Nah, because it's bullshit though. Because he abandons Halloween for Christmas, so it's a Christmas.
He
movie.
goes back to Halloween.
also-
Movie. He goes back to Halloween.
reluctantly.
It does have a Christmas movie ending. I will give it that. But classic all the way.
Needs a Halloween movie ending where everyone fucking dies.
I agree. It shouldn't be in the Haunted Mansion until like November. But
It shouldn't be in the Haunted Mansion at all. Get your own ride, motherfucker. We're all skeletons on the inside. You're not special, Jack. You fuck.
Well, since nobody asked my top 3.
I'm so
horror
sorry,
Halloween
Chris. I
movies.
thought you said one of them, didn't you?
I said Trick or Treat. Yeah, David or Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat, and then the original Halloween, just because
Yes.
you gotta. And then also the Blair Witch Project is like
of course.
is like a go-to.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a great one.
Because most people miss that that movie takes place around Halloween when they're in town. In the first few minutes, you see like Halloween decorations everywhere.
Yeah, that's a really good
And
one.
It's got that like there's leaves everywhere and all the trees are dead look that the sequel from a few years completely fucked up.
That's a good. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I didn't think we were going to end up longer than the last episode, but here we are. Before we go, though,
I knew we would go long.
let me do a little social media plug before we end. If you haven't yet,
No.
we are on Twitter, so please do follow us there. We are on Twitter at MPOS Official. That's twitter.com/MPOS Official, OFFICIAL. Post lots of cool updates for the podcast, other pop culture related things. You can also follow my co-host, Kris. What's your Twitter, my friend?
Oh, it's really weird and complicated. It's at Kris Pistol, which is my name.
Twitter.com/KrisPistol. That's KRISPISTOLE. If you want, you can follow Professor Casey here. If you want to see what the inside of his brain looks like.
Lucha Gringo, follow me because MPOS means miserable piece of shit.
My address is 101 South. No.
So that was at Lucha Gringo, and that was Kris giving his address.
Me losing sunflower seeds as I yell into my microphone.
So yeah, guys, please follow us there at MPOS Official, especially. It really helps us out. Really appreciate the support there. And
send money, please.
Yeah, keep tuning in. If you don't know where you are, buy. You don't have to send money. Just follow us on Twitter. That's all. And if you're on any of the podcast apps, subscribe to us. If you haven't subscribed to us, that'd be great as well. If you haven't, if you're new to us, we are a bi-monthly podcast, just so you know. So you can expect 2 episodes a month. So this will be our last episode for October. But we'll be back in November. And yeah. So
where we can talk about Blood Rage for 2 full episodes. Woo!
Or you can hear Casey talk about Blood Rage on the 1987 Year in Horror episode. Yeah,
that too.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Halloween season. It's one of the best times of the year, and it only happens for a short period. So soak it in. Do as much as you can. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back in November.
And make sure to wear bright colors when you're out trick-or-treating so you don't get hit by a car and spend the Halloween season in the emergency room.